Hello there. The Home Secretary is right. For the Tories to have any chance of winning the next general election, the small boat crossings must be stopped. Unless the red carpet across the English Channel is rolled up and dumped in the skip, the Tories will face a humiliating wipeout at the next general election. And Labour will be reinstalled, something that will ensure an even larger flotilla gets through every year. Labour Party politicians are far too woke to do anything else. And remember, they are the ones who happily parade about the place with welcome placards. But even if the Tories do manage to pull the rabbit out of the hat over this one, their re-election chances would still be well below that required to form a government. However, they will have a fight on their hands, because while people in the likes of Calais consider the UK to be the new El Dorado, they will do anything and pay anything to get here. All ably assisted, well, actually strongly encouraged, by activists both at home and abroad, and given legal assistance by the usual lefty lawyers. While the woke civil service busies itself putting all manner of obstacles in front of any ministers that are doing their best to legislate against it. And every time they do legislate, there always seems to be a way around it because the courts can then get in the way. Talking to the Telegraph, the Home Secretary said, "This issue is of huge frustration to many, many people that I meet, but also the British people at large. I believe my reputation and the reputation of the Conservative Party is on the line here. It's about competence, and it's about being faithful to the British people who put us in office to fix this problem." And there is talk that more legislation will be forthcoming as early as next week to try and address the issue. But in the meantime, they come, they get a hotel room and some money. So yes, it is El Dorado. The UN and the WEF want the developed world to take on the practice of eating bugs. All to save the planet, of course, because the claim is it would lead to fewer cattle, pigs and chickens on the planet, so reducing their carbon and, more importantly now, their methane footprints. And in response, the European Union has now put a fourth bug on its list of insects that can be eaten, the lesser mealworm. Or more accurately, they are allowing the marketing of the frozen, paste, dried and powder forms of Alphitibius diaperinus larvae. But don't think that Brexit protects us from this questionable practice. No, according to horizoninsects.co.uk, we in Britain can enjoy these delicacies today. Yes, we can partake of the lesser mealworm, house crickets, yellow mealworms, banded or decorated crickets, desert locusts, migratory locusts, and the black soldier fly. Oh, yummy. But this was part of our Brexit arrangements, and it is due to expire at the end of this year, 2023. And Horizon Insects says that as a result, the future of edible insects in the UK remains bleak. Oh dear, how sad, never mind. Now we all know the UN wants us to eat bugs, the WEF wants us to eat bugs, and the EU is allowing it. So do you think our laws won't be changed to maintain alignment and keep the practice alive in the UK? Really? Oh, and can you imagine the Ramonas using the eating of bugs as a benefit of rejoining the EU? I see the end of 2023 being a Brexit benefit on this particular issue. And on Brexit, happy third anniversary of the UK legally leaving the European Union. And don't be taken in by all the Ramona propaganda. The rest of the world is suffering as much as we are. Germany is heading for recession faster than we are, and France has a spiralling debt to GDP problem that will come back to bite them, especially if the strikes in France lead to President Macron being forced to backtrack on his pension reforms. In fact, the author of the book Black Swan, Nassim Taleb, who pointed out the financial failings of the banking system prior to the 2008 crash, has now come out and said that the world has a humongous debt problem that is objectively the greatest tinderbox time bomb in financial history, greater than the late 1920s and likely with similar market consequences. And these problems can only get worse while politicians promise their electors an easy life just so they can get into government. Then they have to borrow and spend to achieve it. Let's hope the Black Swan is wrong this time, otherwise we could be up for a great reset and be forced to build back better afterwards, but be owning nothing as a result. And only the bad and the mad would want to see that, wouldn't they? Although eco-loons use it to attach themselves to all sorts of street furniture, superglue is not, however, the smartest thing to use when repairing nuclear submarines. Some none too intelligent technician had sheared the heads off of some bolts that secure critical reactor cladding in place on HMS Vanguard, and decided that replacing those bolts was too bothersome, so they whipped out the superglue to stick the heads back on. That a nuclear techie had superglue in their toolbox at all raises serious questions all of its own. Talk about a botch job that by all accounts degraded the safety of a nuclear reactor inside a submarine that has a crew of over 130 and carries an undisclosed number of nuclear warheads, not to mention all the torpedoes and other weaponry. I've served in nukes, and I can tell you that when you put to sea, the whole crew has to be 100% secure in the knowledge that all the repairs and maintenance carried out in port were completed to the utmost standards. Thankfully, it appears that these defective bolts were discovered by the Vanguard's own engineers as part of their pre-startup inspections prior to flashing the reactor up. And the real question is, was this a botch job or something worse? Now over to Richard.
Have you ever been called a racist? If you are a white middle-aged man, do you feel like you are being stereotyped as racist? Even though you have spent a lifetime not being racist, has a family member accused you of racism, even though they have known you their entire lives? Well, if that sounds like you, and you have had enough of being branded as a racist, don't worry, help is at hand, because you can become a hermit. That's right, we at Leave Me the F*** Alone are holding new classes for self-isolation, and we have a wonderful selection of hermit caves for sale just for you. So you never have to worry about making some accidental racist comment in public ever again. Gone will be those sleepless nights where you paced around the house replaying in your mind the potential racist comments you made during the day, and you will never have to worry about slipping up down the pub as you chat about your favourite pre-2010 television show that may have had some cultural appropriation in it, only to be glared at by your peers as they surround you, pointing at you and your micro-instances of casual racism. So, sign up today at Leave Me the F*** Alone for your free brochure, you racist!